glasses are fabulous, by the way. I've got
Thank you.
massive glasses envy. So
Yeah,
anyway, they look great.
love my glasses.
So anyway, well, welcome. We're I'm just going to say yeah, it's everything's sorted. They're just asking me. So that's great. Well, welcome, Caroline, and it's dead on 7. So I'm going to get stuck in. First of all, just to say that it's great that we're doing this with Good Salon Guide. And I know there's a couple of things I know you're doing specifically at the moment to help hairdressers who are obviously, like all of us, struggling. But that's one of the reasons we wanted to do this with you, because we've long admired what you've done, which we're going to talk about. But I think now's the time that, you know, to listen to some of your wisdom and your own personal journey. I feel a bit like Piers Morgan on a life story. I think it's more about your story tonight than anything else, really. But I know, you know, if it's something else that we've got in our armory to help our members, and not just our members, it would be brilliant, really. So congratulations, first of all your amazing award success.
Thank you very much.
Amazing. You've got through to quite a few categories of the business awards, haven't you? The British Hairdressing Business Awards.
We did, yeah. We got through to 6 of those. We got through to 2 Creative Head and 2 British Hairdressing Awards. So yeah.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say congratulations, but apart from that, I don't think, you know, that we need proof, because the people that follow you so attentively are proof in themselves. But I mean, you obviously enter these awards with your own business, and it's testament to how successful your peers view you to be, that you've had such a broad spectrum of success. So anyway, we're going to start, and I think really what we want to get to the bottom of is, if you take me back a little way, because and we're going to be talking about people that have really inspired you. And one name that's going to come up is John Assaraf. Not everybody will know who he is, so obviously when we talk about him, if you would assume that, you know, a lot of people won't know. So take me back a few years ago. I mean, your journey in hair started when, Caroline?
Oh, now you're asking. My journey in hair started back in 1988.
Right.
So I trained to be a hairdresser, and I did a few other things. I was in it and out of it and in it and out of it. And a lot of people don't know as well that I'm actually an art school graduate as well. I went and I've got a BA honours in fine art. I went to art school for 4 years as well.
Wow.
But I always loved, see, I'm creative, so I always loved the creative journey. And it wasn't until I was pregnant with my oldest child, that was back in 2001,
Yeah.
that I made a decision that I was going to open my own. But no, it wasn't to begin with. Yeah, I'd rented a chair, so I'd gone self-employed when I was pregnant.
Right.
And then when it wasn't going so well there, it just wasn't working very well in the salon. There wasn't many salons that were doing it back there at the time. And I just made this decision when I was pregnant that I was going to open my own salon. This is, you know, what came about, how it came about. I thought, why not? In my head, I thought, well, I'm a good hairdresser. If they can do it, I can do it.
What age were you then, Caroline?
What age was I? Let me think. Well, it was I was just about 30
Right.
or early 30s.
Yeah.
Can't quite exactly remember, but about that.
Yeah.
I partied all through my 20s, and then I started having my children in my 30s.
It's a common. I asked that question because that's an age when a lot of people do think about opening their own business.
Yeah.
They've done those 20s and then 30s as you did.
Yep.
Open the salon. Okay, carry on. Yeah.
The salon, yep. So I decided to open the salon with no business experience whatsoever, apart from I'd rented a chair for a few months.
Yeah.
Hadn't, you know, a very small amount client base, not a lot at all. And just thought, I'll rent chairs, you know, and the reason that I was driven to do it was because I was looking for somewhere else better to rent a chair, and there was nowhere at the time, believe it or not. And this was my dream at the time. I thought, I'll just open a salon and I'll rent chairs, and all the money that comes in from that will cover the expenses, and then I just get to keep all the money that I take in, and it'll all be wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, that was the template. Yeah.
That was the template that
Hmm.
went drastically wrong.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, and to begin with, it was fine. And then of course you start to employ people. So we employed an apprentice, and then they were growing through the ranks, and then it was like, okay, well, they become a stylist then. We didn't want to just let them go. So then you're starting to employ people. And then before I knew it, I had this mix of some employed and some renting a chair.
Yeah,
And it just wasn't working. It was such a difficult time. Um, just that whole period, to start with, it was going fine, and then it just started going downhill. It was so difficult.
yeah,
And then people leaving and things like that as well. And I just found myself in a really dark place where it wasn't just the salon that wasn't going well, it was just life in general. I don't know if anyone has those rock bottom
yeah,
moments where, it was divorce,
yeah.
and I was
Kids.
single mother to, I was pregnant and a single mother, just about to become a single mother to three, um,
Yeah.
which is when my story kicks in of when my manager walked out and left me. So there I am, divorced. I'd gone over the VAT threshold
Right.
by thousands and thousands of pounds. So there's me in debt, no money. Manager walked out, went AWOL one day, took the stolen client list with her to rent a chair across the road. I'm
Oh,
8 months pregnant at the
with
time,
your third baby.
with my third baby, about to become a single mum to with three
Yeah,
children.
yeah,
And that was just my rock bottom, when you hit rock bottom moment.
yeah,
There's another few ticks on there that I could list, but
yeah, yeah.
I
But
think that's
that's
enough.
the lowest point. I think it sounds like everything went wrong at the same time.
Yeah, everything went wrong at the same time. It was, oh, there's so many things. And I'd lost my dad only a couple of years before as well. It was just one of those times that everything just imploded.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, do you think it took you reaching such, I mean, I'm quite staggered, you say, to be that near giving birth when all that happened is daunting enough. But
Mhm.
when you hit that low spot, how did you ever find it? Because, I mean, as you say, we've all been there, a lot of people have, but to get back from being so low when everything's stacked against you, big ask. So how did you possibly go about resolving it?
Yeah, I mean, it really came down to choice. And like you say, it's almost like when you hit rock bottom and you can't get any lower as such. It was like, but using it as a springboard to, make a choice. I just made a decision. It really does, as cliched as it may sound, that's what it came down to. We have a choice. I either had the choice to give in, throw in the towel and just think this is useless, this is, and just crumble,
Mm,
or choose
mm,
that I was going to turn it around. I remember asking myself a question one day, sitting in my Salon staff room, crying, just hit rock bottom. And I asked myself a question. I remember asking myself, have you really done everything you can to
mm.
make a go of this business? And I realized that I hadn't really. There was something inside me. I knew I was capable of more, but everything was just crumbling around me. And I made a choice. I made a choice that I was going to show up, that I was going to, use the mindset stuff. I just started dabbling with the mindset stuff
Well,
just
let
before then.
yeah, I mean, that's interesting because the fact that you even asked yourself that question shows that you'd moved into that territory of maybe exploring the
Yeah.
power of positive thinking. So before, I mean, you didn't lose the salon, as you say, you're at rock bottom with the salon. So how long before this, and when you said I'd started to dabble with that, how had you got into that? Who'd introduced you to it? Or was it just your research,
It was by accident. It was completely by accident. I came across a gentleman called, it was on the internet, and it was a gentleman called Andrew Reynolds. He was my first ever mentor. When I say mentor, I use that term loosely, as in I wasn't, not a personal mentor at the
Oh,
time. It was just I'd bought some of his materials, reading materials, etc. And
and what does he call himself? So we got this clear, Andrew. What would he say he was when you came across him? What's
he
his?
was an information marketer.
Right.
That's what he was. So he was an information marketer. So he was the guy who took, when you look for an information product and how to improve your golf or how to do this, and people
Yes, the
search
how
on
to.
the internet to
Yeah.
buy information
Yeah.
products. So many of us are doing that now, but at the
Yeah.
time, it's, not many were. And he was the one that took it to the UK. And that was how I came across him. I must have been searching how to do
Yeah.
whatever it was. And I came across him. Anyway, in his program, I signed up for this program. It was just, they sent a monthly newsletter. And in that, every month there was a bit on mindset. And there was a
Right.
bit just saying, and this was way before The Secret. If anyone's ever heard of The Secret and the Law of Attraction, this was before then.
For that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was before then. But he would tell you, he didn't go deeply into it, but he would tell you how important this is. And he told you about the old books like How a Man Thinketh, James Allen, and Acres of Diamonds, and Think and Grow Rich, and all this kind of tools that were all about the mindset stuff. So I'd started reading a couple of those things and just getting into his stuff. So there was an awareness there, but I wasn't fully immersed in it. So
No.
when I got to the stage where it was like, okay, so have I really given it my all? And I realized I hadn't, and I made a decision that I was going to. But it really was a choice of, crikey, what's the alternative? I either choose this path of thinking, right, okay, using this mindset stuff and learning more about it, and also learning how to market the salon. It was not just the mindset, that's the foundation, but there's so much more to it than just that. But I see the mindset as the foundation that everything else is built on.
It's the root of it. Now I think, now it's very easy to, and as you say, we're talking years ago when these words weren't bandied around like they are now. When you say mindset, Andrew spoke of the mindset. What do you mean by that? What is it that you have to apply? When you say, I decided that my change would start with changing my mindset. So how do you do that, and how does it actually manifest itself?
Yeah. So I mean, at the time, I didn't know as much as I know now, if that makes sense. So, but at the time, it really was a choice. And when we talk about mindset, as in, was it set to the doom and gloom and negativity, or was I going to choose to actually, no, I'm going to go out and learn, I'm going to read, I'm going to do what I can, I just made a decision that I was going to turn it around and see what I was truly capable of. It starts with a choice.
So what I mean about the mindset. That's interesting, because I think people don't understand that. And it sounds to me as if your choice, you can tell me if I'm wrong, was to self-improve, learn the things that you needed, which maybe you didn't have all those tools in place to get that business back up, to get out there. Yeah. So your mindset was making the choice to make it work.
Exactly, and it was about committing to it, and when I talk about mindset, it is because we as humans will naturally, move to the negative side, and we have so many thoughts in a day, 80% of which are negative, and we can easily feel unworthy, and we can easily feel like we can't do it, and we can easily feel stuck, and we can't see a way out. It's harder to do the good thinking. It's actually harder to flip that around and really fix your mindset on, no, this is what I want.
I think
this is where I'm going.
And I think it's because we know sometimes deep down that when you fix your mindset on the positive, it involves working your butt off.
Well, it involves work.
Negative involves just sitting there thinking it's all going away.
Yeah.
But if you say my mindset is switched to making it work, it doesn't come, as you'll tell us, just through changing your attitude. It means getting out there and grafting, doesn't it?
Yeah, that there's definitely, I teach universal laws, and definitely when the like The Secret and all that kind of stuff first came out, in the law of attraction, it was like, we just think and it'll come to us, and we just have to think about it and think positive. And there was a lot of that going on where it was like, no, wait a second, you've got to take action as well.
Right. Now that's interesting. That's my point. So you very interestingly say Andrew was quite an early pioneer. Obviously you picked up on that, but as you built your business up, more people, mentors, influenced you. And talk to me a little bit about that, because you do mention John Assaraf quite a lot in your journey, and he's quite well known to a lot of people. But I mean, what you've just said there is key to it. It's not just making the decision that you're going to make a go of it. Talk to me a little bit more about what John's philosophy is for those of us that don't know it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you one that springs to my mind right now,
Yeah.
talking about, as you've mentioned, about hard work.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he asks is, are you committed or are you interested?
Right.
Now, they are very different. Someone can be interested in growing their business, but not committed. Committed is when you will do what it takes and you've got your eye on that goal and you will do what it takes. That's commitment. I laugh when I make a joke when I'm doing my events, etc. And I'll say, I'm interested in losing weight. I'm not committed. If I was, I would be working a lot harder and going to the gym a lot more often. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So it is that commitment, and that's one of John's philosophies. John is very, I came across John to begin with as we talked about the film, the book, The Secret. So he was in there when it first came out, and it was a massive, still is a massive book, a massive film, and John was in there. And then some other courses came along. Then I did his thing called Brainathon, which he still does to this day, by the way, which is coming up soon, which is free.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing called Brainathon.
Yeah.
And I did that. Watched it, did it, and there's something in me. I just felt I was just drawn. I was drawn to him. I was drawn to that program. The program was called, what he was selling on that Brainathon was a program called Winning the Game of Money.
Right.
And it was all about retraining and reprogramming and rewiring your brain. So put this concept of like, that you can change your beliefs and change your subconscious mind by using audios and, other things that he has. There was other training kits in there too, practical stuff, hands-on stuff. And then I just made that leap of faith. I made that jump to invest and start working with him. But just to show you the kind of way of thinking that I'd gotten into was when I was in this group and I did this program with him, it was quite difficult to begin with because nothing just goes woo and it's great. As we know, we live in, one of the universal laws is the law of rhythm. So there's always the curve, you have your ups and downs. And I remember when I first started, I remember struggling with it. It was like this resistance, that I could have easily given up, but I thought, no, I've invested, I'm going to keep going. And then one of the goals I gave myself was, right, that's it. I'm going to set myself a goal. And this is what I mean about focusing the mind on the stuff you want, that I was going to be one of John's best, case studies or testimonials, if you like. Yeah. And I had that in my head. And I ended up featuring in his book, his latest book, Inner Size, is one of his best.
I saw Inner Size recently. Yeah,
his book, Inner Size. So it's just things like that. It's focusing on what you want and having these big goals. And then last year, I put it in my dream book. I use a dream book, and I put it in my dream book that I was going to go to John's house and I was going to meet him in person. I visualized me going into his house, the whole lot.
Yeah.
And within a few months, I was there. In San Diego, in his house, where, by his Buddha, under the horses. I always see his images of the horses when he's doing his videos in YouTube, etc. But it started in here first.
Right. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I know you're incredible. What does he think of that then? Because I mean, as you say, you made it into the book. You sound as if you applied yourself and really followed, his teachings, I mean, and the success is speaking for itself. I mean, what does he say? I mean, does he have many people that he's built that bond with? Well, I suppose he does, but I mean, you've obviously gone there. I mean, what's his reaction to how his methodology has worked for you?
Well, obviously he is very proud of me, what I've achieved. We speak every sort of couple of weeks. Last time I was on one of the calls with him, he was waving, he actually bought the book and he's waving my book around going, I've got your book,
Yeah, fantastic.
So he's obviously very proud of me. He obviously has a lot of success stories, but I must be doing something right, because he's invited me onto his Brainathon again this year as one of his veterans, as a guest to interview on the Brainathon. So it's.
I think one thing that strikes me about maybe why he featured you in the book and so on is that what you're saying is, and I'm interested to know, you grabbed it the bull by the horns. You didn't go into it half-baked. You know, you had full thrust, full focus. You made it your number one priority. Are you saying that if you follow that methodology and ideology and you don't give it 100%, and you and I know that's hard, you said that, to commit is different to being interested.
Yeah.
If you can't give it that absolute maximum, is it not going to work?
I don't think any of us perform at absolute maximum every single day. But one thing I would say, based on a lot of the salon owners that I teach, is a lot of it, like, people are giving it their 100% every day, in the sense of they're doing the best with what they've got, or how they feel in that particular moment, if that makes sense. So to an extent, yes, they are doing their best, but they don't realize that they're capable of so much more. So I guess when I made my decision, there was something in me that just made me realize I've not actually, I knew that I hadn't given it my all. I thought I had, but I thought, no, there's got to be something more to it than this. I just knew there was something more. I knew that fear had been holding me back. I was worried that people would think, well, who does she think she is, having an ambition like that? Or look at her putting herself out there. And that's it. People are they're so riddled in fear. They're so scared of being judged. Their self-worth is so low based on their past, and, limiting beliefs and all that kind of stuff, that often they're just scared to actually really push. We've had people say to us before, they start getting really busy. When we're coaching them, they start getting really busy and they go, I switched off the advert. I was scared I would be too busy. And things like that. And it's you're having to coach them out of that. And it's just, people are in patterns, and it's getting them used to the fact that it's getting them to think bigger and believe in themselves more. And so I guess it's like, they think they are giving it their all and doing their best, if that makes sense. Because you are doing the best with what you've got, but there's more in there. There's more in all of us. There's more in me. I'm scratching the surface of what I can achieve, and all of us.
And I mean, you said that. I mean, when you hit that rock bottom, you knew that you could do more, that there was more to give. You did that. You followed that. So before you started, obviously, we talk about the book and how you've applied it to other people, but once you started to live this philosophy of committing, achieving, visualizing, and actually making it happen through sheer hard work and determination, from what you've said, that's how it actually happens. What impact did it have on your business then, from being literally down there? Once you started to actually put it into action, what happens?
Okay, so I'll kind of give you a little bit of a stage, sort of jump by jump. After I came out of the hospital, I never went back on the salon floor more than I think it was 2 days to begin with, more than 2 days a week. As soon as I came out, and it had, when I went back, because I had 2 young graduates that basically had to run the place while I was away. They had to do all our clients, myself and the manager who'd walked out at me. And they did, I spent 4 weeks before I went and had the baby, putting all the systems in place, etc. And it was just really a case of, at that point, it's just a case of,
fingers crossed,
survive. We've done it. I've done everything I can now. I put all the notes in the system and just, spoke to all the clients, etc. And then when I looked back on the figures, a while after coming out, and I realized that we hadn't lost anything. Like, when we were looking back, comparing to the year before or earlier months, in fact, we were up, not a lot, but a little bit. And I couldn't believe it, that we were, and it was like, wow, okay, I am not going back on the floor. All the clients will come back to me. Well, when I say back on the floor, I was, but not full time. I knew they would all just come back to me, and I would be the busy one again. And they would be quiet. It was like, no, I made that decision. No, I'm going to grow this business and grow the team and build the team and grow people. So that was 2009. So by 2010, we were, I'm not going to say that we didn't, have struggles along the way. By 2010, it was like, yeah, we're growing. This is great. I'd started to do coaching. I was the first person in the world to create a Facebook marketing course for salon owners, because we were just filling empty columns, etc.
Okay, so stop right there. So one of the things, did this come about through John's teachings? Where, you know, you said the mindset thing led you to do so many other things with the business, like marketing.
Yes.
So when did the light bulb moment about marketing happen?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the universal thing. Here's the wonderful thing about all this. When you start to get your focus onto what you want and you're determined to achieve a goal, and you don't know how you're going to do it, but you're determined and you just know it, and you're doing all the work to you know, I was using my dream book, I was doing my visualizations. It just came to me. I would find this knowledge and I would learn. I was never very technical.
No.
And somebody had said to me, oh, you should really go on to, I think it was one of the team actually had said, you should go on to this Facebook thing. And I no, go onto this Facebook and you can do, and it was actually one of the team that's back in 2010 set up a business page. But because I was also studying marketing along with the mindset, I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just do it for business and I'll just give it a try. And this was back in the days that everybody saw your posts on Facebook. And the knowledge just came from trial and error. It's amazing what happens, what the universe gives you when you start to, when you're on track and you're in flow. You know, I just picked it up so easily and effortlessly, and it was just working. We were filling columns because I knew how to write the marketing. I'd learned and I'd studied about writing the marketing copy. So that's how that came about.
Fabulous. And more than that, you were giving it time because you'd stepped back from the salon floor. You actually had the physical time to invest in other sets of your business that clearly.
Absolutely. So
you mentioned, I think the thing there is, I think, you know, a lot of salon owners feel they've got to be behind the chair, taking the money, but so much of it is strategy and planning. And what you said is hugely valuable, and we'll focus on that a bit, if that's okay with you, is that you started to invest in your team. You grow, it's a great phrase, and it's great in hairdressing, you grow people. And then if you grow them in the right way, they can deliver what you deliver, freeing you up. So what did you, I mean, did you do your own salon training with these people to grow them? Did you encourage them to follow your philosophy of, you know, the mindset and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So I was lucky, the two graduates that were there at the time, I'd already trained them. They just had never run a busy column before, but they'd had that. They were, you know, they had the grounding training. I've always trained the philosophy of mindset from way back in those days. But like I say, jumping on a bit, so that was 2010. By 2011, we won our first couple of awards. By 2012, we had to open a bigger salon and we had to accommodate an extra 2,000 new clients. And then 2013, we hit a boom, a dip, I think it was 12 or 13, where the whole road outside the salon got shut down. So there wasn't any kind of traffic. So, you know, it wasn't like, woo, you know, we've grown every year, but it's kind of, well,
that's circumstance, isn't it? You can't control the road being closed. It's how you deal with it.
It's how you deal with it. And there's been lots of things along the way. You know, it's never a smooth sailing journey. And yes, the philosophy, we've made it a culture in the salon. We've nurtured that culture. And I would say last year, 2019, was the year that it really peaked for us, for that mindset culture. You know, although we'd always had it as a culture, last year I just put my all into, right, I want to really sort of focus on the mindset within the salon. I did some NLP, I'm trained in NLP, and I did some NLP with the team. We were out, you know, we just together as a team, we were out teaching salon owners. We did 30 events across the country in America and stuff, and we were teaching this mindset stuff as well as marketing as we were going. And I knew that the salon had to be, for me to be able to go away and do all that for a year, like, you know, teaching, doing all these events all over, I knew that the salon had to have that really strong core mindset, you know, and it did. And we had a record-breaking year for us.
And that was the year that you were actually away a lot and on the road.
Yes.
So that shows that you can, I'm just checking, nobody wants me to ask you a specific question. Oh yeah, Jodie's mentioned something which would be good, because I know she's a real fan of yours. The universal laws you mention, what are they?
So I teach universal laws, and I'm not going to go through every single one, but for example, the one that I talked about, for example, the law of, let's do the law of, now you mentioned something earlier. You
Yeah.
mentioned something earlier. What was it?
Tell me, I might remember.
Question. Let me think. Oh, you were, no, it was in the email that you sent me. You were talking about what's inside you is reflecting. What was the question you asked me? You asked me something about that in the email before we came on. It was
I don't know. I mean,
it was about something. I'm trying to think what you said. It was about the outside being a reflection of the inside.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
asked me something like that. So
yeah.
that's an you may have heard the term, that's a universal law. So you may have heard the term as above, so below, or as within, so without. Like the universe is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. So
Right.
what we see on the outside world is a reflection of what's going on inside us. So for example, if we have
Right.
low self-worth,
Yeah.
and if we are feeling down and we have really low energy and we are just feeling so like, I can't do it, and we're talking to ourselves in disempowering ways,
Or negative ways to put it.
negative
Yeah.
ways, all of that kind of disempowering stuff that's going on inside us comes out. It's like a mirror reflection
Yeah.
of what's going on outside. Do you remember we were having that chat? So
Yeah.
it's like
Are you saying that if you give off that negative vibe, is that what you're saying? If you've got it inside and you're feeling so kind of low and dark, that's what comes, you manifest that, you give that out? Or are you saying that you see that around you because you're feeling
well,
that
both,
way?
both really. You know, I would have to spend a bit of time explaining it to get into it, but very
Yeah.
quickly it's a
Yeah.
bit of both, as in we are energy, everything is energy, this is energy, we are
Yeah.
energy, we're made up of energy.
Yeah.
So our energy, depending on how we feel or what we're thinking or our negativity, the energy will vibrate at a particular frequency.
Out of us. Yeah.
Exactly. So when, and like energy attracts like energy, another universal law.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've heard
acts like
that
a
one.
magnet. So
Yeah.
when you're thinking a negative thought, for example, that thought has energy. And if it is a low negative thought, it will have a low vibration and it attracts more things on that vibration. It's like a little magnet. It attracts things, you know, energy attracts things the same, like attracts like.
Right. So if you're thinking negative, you've got low energy and low poor thoughts, black thoughts. In fact, what you'll do is just imbibe more of those sort of dark thoughts.
Absolutely. If
It
you
attracts more of that negativity.
Absolutely. It's like, you know, you've heard of the worse it gets, the worse it gets, or the better it gets, the better it gets. When you start to think in a negative thought, and then before you know it, another negative thought comes, and another, unless we learn to flip
Break.
that, we are going down this spiral, and the energy that we're putting out is getting lower and lower, and we are attracting things on that vibration.
Right.
So that's what I mean about it becomes a reflection. So what shows up, in our world, that's the law of correspondence. So what shows up in our world is corresponding to our energy and vibration, if that makes sense.
It does. I would say though, and looking at these times, it's a good time to talk about that. Sometimes, and maybe you've got advice on that, practical advice. When you feel low, your energy's low, you've got dark thoughts because, you know, you feel bad, low self-esteem, you might like you have had a lot of knockbacks, and that's really relevant right now to break that cycle of negativity. If you're not maybe lucky to have to live with people who are very positive, who can help lift you, you might live on your own. You know, how to break that pattern is so incredibly difficult sometimes, because as you say, you feed off it, your mind feeds off it. I mean, how can you start to break that, to, as you say, flip it round?
It is very difficult. It's very difficult. Even just, we all have, that's one of the things I teach when I'm teaching the universal laws. A lot of it is to help you how to deal with your emotions, because you know, that's why a lot of people fail, or they don't do it, or they don't go through with it, because they're striving for this one-sided life, if that makes sense. And that's how we're brought up, really. It's like we're looking for this, you know, the stuff that'll make us feel better, and we're looking for this one-sided life, and it's impossible. There's not such a thing. Another universal law, the law of polarity, there's not such a thing. Everything in the universe is balanced. So good stuff turns up and crap stuff turns
Yeah.
up. It's how we deal with them both, because it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Even in these times, that's what I would say, even in these times, even when you're feeling low, even when you're feeling at the lowest, I can guarantee you, if you dig and you search for it, there are things to be grateful for. There is a lot to be grateful for. And if you can get into that vibration and that mindset and that frame of mind of, okay, this might be happening right now, but I have this, and this. I'm so grateful for that. And it's where you put your thoughts and your focus to. And really, Claire, it comes to choice. It still comes back to that choice of, I know this is hard, but I'm choosing to commit to this journey up rather than staying on this journey down.
I'm glad we've asked that. I was going to say, Caroline, because I think so much of what you're going to say is resonating. We have got a Q&A feature in the bottom here. And I was going to wait to sort of talk to you a little bit more so we could hear a lot more of your insight. But Jodie sent me a message that it is on this subject, and it's great if we can address some questions. So just to let people know, you can use the question thing. I might not come to them immediately because I don't want to cut you off. But we've got a question from Sarah, and it's again, it's quite specific. I think that's what we're getting at here. People actually want to ask how you do it. Sarah says, mindset wise, I think we might have answered this really. What do you do to keep your goals on track? Do you visualize every day? Or, what do you personally do to get those goals on track? Says Sarah.
So, I can give you a couple of tools. There's something that I'm doing right now, actually, that maybe those listeners would like to join. It's up to themselves. It's completely free. So it's a free 5-day challenge that I'm doing. That's Brilliant. A mindset challenge. It's called, it's on Facebook. It's called the Magic Mind 5-day challenge, or the 5-day.
I saw that. Yep.
So it's for 5 days, and you can come inside and learn more about this stuff. But in there, what I teach are some of the tools that I use on my daily rituals, because what we're trying to do is create new habits. We're trying to create new habits.
It's habits. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Thinking positively or whatever. It's not just about thinking positively. It's daily habits of taking action in a positive way as well. Yeah. So, and one of those things that I'll say is I use a dream book.
I was going to ask you that.
Talk about goals. Yes, I use a dream book. So I put, I've got loads of them. They're beside my bed in my drawers. I've got so many of them. And I put in there all my hopes and dreams and goals, because when you're connected to your desire, there's no resistance, there's no doubt, there's nothing in the way. You're just connected to what you want. And when you're connected to what you want, and you're giving off that feeling and that vibration of what I want, that's when the universe starts moving and shifting, and things start happening, these little serendipities where you go, oh, this worked on Facebook. Oh, this really worked. Or these things tend to show up that help you on your journey because you're clear of what you want. There's too many people that are not clear on what they want, so they're not really getting clear results. So be specific with your goals, specific of what you want. And when you're putting your stuff in your dream book, your goals of who you want to become, or where you want to take your salon to, or what awards you want to win, whatever it is for you, whatever it looks for you, be specific and write in the present tense. So, I did this when I first won Scottish Hairdresser of the Year. So I went, and let me just give you a little example, so it's kind of fun anyway. I went to the previous year's winners, when they all have their photos, they have their thing, and I cut out my head and I stuck it on top of the poor lady's head, whoever she was in the middle, and I put my head on hers as if it was me
getting the award.
And that goes into my dream book, and I'm writing, I'm so happy and grateful that I am now British Hairdresser of the Year, Scottish region, whatever it is. And just looking at that each day, now my conscious mind knows that's my head stuck on somebody, but my subconscious doesn't know the difference. It's as the more I'm looking at it each night, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about it and I'm visualizing it, it's like I'm starting to implant a reality and future memory
in your head,
into my head. So
and you're believing it as well.
Belief, exactly.
You believe it.
You hit the nail on the head there. It starts to become a belief.
And you know what I think is really relevant as well that you say about that, when you say the dream book, and I mean, some people journal, it's slightly different, but it's different to putting it in a phone, you know, the act of picking up pen to paper, and even like what you did, cut it out, stick it. It's those kind of the fact that you physically are doing it and you've got a handheld record. You know, we so rarely do that now. It's all in our phone, it's all tapped there, but the actual physical act of sitting down, I mean, you say just cutting the head out and sticking it, you know, it's different to just photoshopping it. Do you think that's relevant? Because I noticed you said they were books and you put pen to paper. Is that part of the culture of it?
Oh, not something, to be honest, that I've ever actually thought about before, because maybe some people, if they work better that way and they've got Pinterest boards and they're doing it on Photoshop and they're doing it that way, as long as it feels right to them, I guess, and as long as they connect to it and it feels right to them. For me, like, some people have vision boards.
Yes.
Vision boards don't work for, that doesn't work for me.
No, but I'm glad you've mentioned these things, because there's other tools that people can use.
Other tools,
right. But it's this effect of what you're saying is, and an answer to, let's just go back to check I've got that, you know, it's you know, actually focusing, doing it, physically noting it, making it an actual connection in your head, rather than just some ponderous thought that pops in and pops out, hanging on to it. And
you're putting it, what you're putting down on paper, you know, when you're like you say, it is different in the sense of when you're writing it out and you're putting it down on paper, it's like a declaration.
I think
whether doing it on a phone is the same, I don't know, because I've not done it on that before.
It just resonates to me, because I think that is I read a lot about, you know, it's a similar thing when people are very stressed mentally. One of the things we know that helps them is journaling. And I think, you know, picking up a pen and writing, that that dying art is quite therapeutic in itself. You know, we all know that maybe moving away from technology occasionally and sitting down with your thoughts and focusing pen to paper, from what you're saying about the whole journey and getting in the mind frame, is probably quite a useful tool. You know, it's just you, your thoughts and your paper. So yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm happy there's a question popped up already, so if you don't mind, Caroline, we'll answer some questions as they come up. Do you mind doing that?
Oh, not at all.
Of course, because I don't want to, it's really lovely, but we will of course come back to other parts of your journey and so on. But Seamus says, so tell us, before I get to Seamus's question, which is great, your book has only just come out. Is this your first published book?
This is a first book, yes.
So prior to the book coming out, if people wanted to learn from your wisdom and, you know, follow your ideologies, they could join you online or as a kind of business coach. There was other ways of kind of imbibing your knowledge, but it wasn't produced in a book form until recently.
Correct. So yes, we've been on the go for 10 years now. Salon Jedi has been on the go for 10 years now, helping people. But
okay. So the business within
ebooks, and stuff like that. But
this is okay. So Salon Jedi, just so people who might not know, came about as a result of your success in transforming your business. You obviously thought, let's share what I've got to say, and you opened the business Salon Jedi. But Seamus says, I've read your book on holiday. I enjoyed it immensely. He's got a lot of questions, which is great. So please, Seamus, if you've got another one, I think that's great that we're here to help. Main one, it scares the life out of me, is putting systems into place. I know I have to do it so that everyone, interesting you said this, works from the same page, as it were. But the idea of doing it just feels so overwhelming to me. I know you say to chunk everything down, but where do I start?
Oh, good question. So I'm guessing that Seamus is a creative thinker. So Seamus is, you know, probably a busy, visionary, creative thinker like myself. So we actually find it difficult to systemize things. But at the same time, we need systems more than anyone else. So it took me to be at rock bottom for me to go, right, I have to do this. I have to do this. So Seamus, what you need to do first of all is decide, do you want to get off the floor, for example? Do you want the salon that everybody working off the same sheet? Because if your why is big enough, you will do it. And you need to just start. Think of it as like folders, subfolders, and files. Don't think of it as an overwhelming thing. The big folder is, I need to systemize the salon. Okay, subfolders, what are the areas that need to be systemized? Okay, well, front of house might be one, for example. You know, new client journey might be another, or the client journey or something like that. The team systems might be another. So you've got to work out your subfolders, and then from your categories, and then from there into little subcategories, and from there into files. And one thing I would say is systems do not need to be complicated. Let me just give you a quick little example. Let's say you were systemizing how your assistants work.
Yeah.
You can just take photographs, right? There's nothing, go around with your mobile phone. And so let's just say a new assistant starts and you want to tell them how the teas and coffees are served. How do you fold the towels? Where does everything go? Get photos and just create like a little, you know, it's just a little folder, a little sheet. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, and just start from there. Okay, we've now got our assistant, you know, this is how our towels, this is how the gown is put on. We even have little videos, like little system videos.
Yeah, I was going to say they're good. I think videos are a great thing because younger sort of stylists really relate to them.
Yeah, so it's just chunking it down. Yes, it is chunking it down. So big folders, subfolders, even more subfolders into files, and just start with what's the easiest thing to do, as in, okay, let's start with our assistants. What do we want this journey to be? Imagine, you can even start with, we started a Saturday assistant. If a Saturday assistant started, what were the things that we would have to show them and tell them? How can we do this in the fastest way? Like give them a little sort of folder, and we just photographed everything. It doesn't have to be
complicated.
You know, and then as you get more into it, you just do it step by step by step.
Well, that's great. I mean, hopefully Seamus, as he said, it's just initially overwhelming, and you know, the chunking, you've made it, the chunking can be so simple, just pictorial, whatever. I mean, the thing is, a lot of people might have to still do time on the salon floor. So in order to, would you say that's a very, you know, relevant point, particularly in the current climate? In an ideal world, it'd be nice to take a lot of time away from the salon floor, but some people might still have to do that. Can you implement your program, you know, if you're still committed very much to working on the salon floor? Is it easily doable, what you sort of preach in the Salon Jedi?
No, it's not easily doable if you are going to be a full-time. Don't get me wrong, we've got all sorts of clients in Salon Jedi. But what I mean is, if you know, and this is what I have to coach people, the ones that want to get off the salon floor, there has to be a time that you make that commitment and start to reduce your hours to begin with. Now, if you're going to be full-time behind the tools, you know, how can you also be the marketer? How can you also be, you know, they're the salon owners, it's like they are the marketers, they are the accountants and bookkeepers, you know, they are doing their own accounts, they are behind the tools all the time. They're trying to do one-to-ones with the team, they're trying to train their team, they're the trainers, they're the educators, they're sometimes the receptionist, they're sometimes the assistant, they are, you know, the window cleaner, the laundry person. It is like, if we were to give that job description to someone else, we'd be taken to court, you know. It's too much, but we put that on ourselves, and this is where people get stuck. So what I tend to say to people, if you're serious about really growing the business, really systemizing it, and really you're going to need help. So whether you've got a manager there that frees up your time, or if you love the tools, if you absolutely love it and you don't want to do all that other stuff, you hire someone who does. And a little tip for Seamus, if he's like me, he's a right-brained thinker, he's creative visionary, you know, the visionary, the bigger picture thinker, and we hate detail. Hire a left-brain thinker who loves detail. The
organizational side of it.
Absolutely. Hire someone who plays at that stuff.
And who likes, some people enjoy that. Love it. They love the system.
Crazy people love that.
No. I think that's a good, I mean, it's it's a great working relationship then. You've got the best, you've got the creativity, you've got the kind of ideas and the vision, but you need somebody calm, meticulous and organized to execute it, you know.
Absolutely.
So, you know, that's a really good idea if you're in the luxurious position where you can do that. I mean, really talking about, you know, you hit a very hard time in we talked about the early 2000s and so on. We know now, well, we know very much at Good Salon Guide, and you know through working with us over many, many years, we've had a great relationship with you, that salon owners are finding it impossible at the moment. I mean, they're closed in Wales, they're closed in Ireland. It's always been important to kind of fight and, you know, hang on in there, but now more than ever, Caroline, it's very difficult for people. I mean, what have you noticed with your members, people who come to you for advice? What else have you been able to suggest to them, or what advice have you given for people who are saying it's out of my hands? It's a pandemic. It's nothing we've done.
Yeah.
How can I possibly battle this? And how can I possibly get my business back to where it was? What are you kind of saying to them?
Well, they're kind of all been trained by me, so they're all like, yeah, come on, let's do this. No, but seriously, during lockdown, you know, obviously we all have our moments, and some of them, and that's the great thing about the community, when some people has a downtime, everybody picks each other up, but you have to stay, like, I believe in this stuff so much. I've been doing this for 11 years now, this mindset stuff, this, where we put our focus to, this stuff I believe in so much, and I believe that no matter what and what's going on around us, I believe that there are always people that succeed, and no matter what times there are and what challenges there are, always. And I know that this is a time that is full of uncertainty, but isn't life always full of uncertainty? We never know when we
never know. I just think that because this is a new thing for people, the uncertainty of something that, I think we've had recessions, and we know we come out of recessions because we have an example of what's happened before. The fear factor maybe, not for your Jedis, but the fear factor is that this is uncharted waters, I think. And we haven't had a global pandemic on this scale. And so we've got no certainty of how it will pan out. But that's, I guess, why what you're saying, the stronger your mind is, the stronger your focus. More than ever, it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go back to what I said before, and people will keep saying that, and they'll keep saying, but what about this, and what about this reason, and what about what's happening? I mean, for example, in lockdown, I wrote a book. For example, in lockdown, a lot of my students systemized their salons. A lot of my students went out and did things that they've never had time to do before.
Yeah.
You know,
very good point.
There was furlough, there was grants, there was things, you know, I never had that back in 2009 when I was almost closing my doors. You know, I didn't have any of that support. Also, I didn't have anyone around me who was going through it with me. We're all going through this together. We're all in it together. The hairdressing and beauty community is such a strong community. Yeah. We have to keep the level of the belief and the faith and the vision and the focus. And I know it might seem easy to say, but what else is there?
What else is there? And you make a really good point. I think some people did some incredible things during lockdown, and they used it. We've started to do, I hope she's listening, but we worked a little bit with a lady who came up all her life. She's sort of worked with young hairdressers. Her name's Belinda Hillman. You might have seen her, and she has always found, you know, kind of motivational phraseology has really helped with young people. You know, she's kind of just been a big believer in sort of, you know, giving out some really useful sort of kind of what we used to call in my generation pearls of wisdom that for years on the floor she's learned. And she thought, you know what, these have helped my folks so great, my salon people, that over lockdown she thought, now's the time. She built a website, she produced them as packs of cards, you know, tools. And she used that time to launch a business that now the cards are out in training academies, salons and so on. And people are using them, you know, with young people. If they're saying, I've got a problem with engagement with clients. She'll get the right card out, you'll get some motivational quotes, some ideas. And as you say, to use that period, I think the best thing you can do is, if you are hopefully getting some grant support and some money, is to look at your business, see how you can improve it, because you've got the time that you normally would never have to actually work on your business.
Absolutely. And the systems and all the stuff that we say, we're so busy on the floor and say, I'd love to do this, I'd love to do that.
Never get a chance.
And again, it's like, it just comes back to that choice of, do we go, there's nothing I can do, I'm going to have to close my door, and just the doom and gloom of it all, and do we focus on that and put our energy towards that, or do we look at it and say, do we ask ourselves empowering questions like, right, how can I make the most of this right now? How can I turn this around? Or what else can I pivot to? Or what else can I do? These are the kind of questions that I ask myself. Not, why is this happening to me?
No.
Why is this happening? Why is this happening?
Because that's going to get you nowhere.
It's not going to get anywhere. And yes, it is a tough time. I know it, I see it, I feel it. And that's why, for me, I'm doing the 5-day mindset stuff and, the free education. But even before that, last year, I traveled and did 30 events for free across the country. I just have this belief in people, and I just believe that there's so much more in them. I mean, Belinda, as you say, there's a prime example of just making that decision, taking action. Everybody has that in them. Sometimes you think that things are happening to you where really they're happening for you. We grow from challenges, and that's my belief.
That's another thing that you just said. I'm going to say, I've got another question from Jodie, but one thing I was going to say, why is this happening to me? That's going back to your mindset. That's the wrong question to ask.
It's a disempowering question.
That's like, why? Instead of, it is, what can I do?
Absolutely.
I think that the other thing I was going to say to you, and in case people might really appreciate this, myself and Jodie will go to you maybe tomorrow and get like a little toolbox so that we can put that on the website, so people will be able to download this video. People who haven't been able to watch it live can download the recording, but we'll also mention some key books that you mentioned, which are really good. Your own book, your own link to the program you're doing free at the moment, and just my things. I mean, would you, I come back to it because I just think the relationship you've built with him is incredible. Do you still say to people, I know you've got your own book now, but is John Asser somebody that you point people in the direction of still, the film,
100%,
the book?
100%, yeah. What I'll do is I'll give you, for that toolbox, I'll give you the Brainathon link, in case people are interested. I think that it's a really long event, but you can jump in and out, and but I'll give you the link.
I think it would be useful because I mean, God forbid we go even further into a lockdown, but these are tools, and if people do have the time, now's the time to commit to learning more about the things that you say. Jodie says, before we end, what was your advice for salon owners now regarding mindset? What can or should they do now and going forward? I don't know if you think we've covered that, but I mean, I know Jodie's very, very keen, because I think we have a lot of people. Jodie and Gareth interact a lot more with our members than I do, and the mindset thing you speak of has been fascinating to so many people, and that's why we wanted to do this, because it is a word that's bandied around a lot nowadays, but actually what it means, that's what I said to you straight on. So really, what would you say to that, Caroline? At the moment, I'm going back. Do you want me to ask you the question again? What would be your advice for salon owners now regarding mindset? What can or should they do now and going forward?
I would say, I think the point that I would want to make before we kind of tie up is that it's not just positive thinking. I mean, I know that we're just having a conversation just now, so I can't get deep into all the stuff that I teach, etc. It's not just positive thinking. It's making it is making a choice to turn your thoughts more in a positive, more empowering direction. And it's being mindful. It's also mindfulness. Mindfulness is just awareness. So being aware when you catch yourself asking these disempowering questions like, why is this happening again? Why is this happening to me? I might have known this would happen, or I didn't get this, I didn't get that. let me just, can I just say something that
Yeah.
just give you a prime example, right, of how this, like, you know, things that show up in my world because of the way I think. And I'm not saying it's perfect all the time, but I know that during this time when the insurance companies weren't paying out, and I didn't even apply for my insurance to pay out. And I got an email from my insurance saying, oh, well, you know, you might have a chance of us paying out, so just do this, apply, and see what happens. It was like, oh, okay then. Like, they contacted me, I didn't contact them. You know, did it, really simple, paid out, done, boom. And I was asking around, did anyone else get this? And it was like, no, our insurance isn't paying out. And I was saying to people, ask them again, ask them again. I'm just saying that it's a, you know, I'm not just making this up and saying this is just positive thinking. This can, like, amazing things can start to manifest. You've got to start, what's the option? Either wallow in the negative thinking or think, well, hold on a minute, maybe I should try this mindfulness mindset stuff on and just look into it a little bit more. What have you got to lose? So even just start looking into it and finding out more about it. You know, join the 5-day mindset magic, you know, that we're doing at the moment. Just try it on for size and don't just dismiss it without giving it a try.
I think you're right, and I think it is more than just thinking positively. It's really, I think the word is, for me, from, you know, being fascinated by what you have to say, is really believing it. It's the belief. It's one thing to think, yeah, I think this could work. Yeah, I'm going to try. It's actually thinking, I know it's going to work. You know, it's a level of belief. Belief is commitment to me as well. You can't commit to something if you don't believe in it, if you're dissing it, and as you say, have a negative throw. Seamus is so happy. He says, thanks, Caroline, for your lovely answer. Another question is front desk. I've always had problems with employing someone just for working that area for many reasons. No doubt it's an ingrained limit mindset issue I place on myself through the lack of mentality I know.
Seamus is learning, I love it.
Through the lack of mentality I know has prevented me from pushing through the glass ceiling. All the stylists bring an income into the salon. A salon coordinator doesn't. Logically, I know that employing someone for this would help. Emotionally, I'm not sure. Have you got any advice?
You need to hire, for growth, you need to hire, well, we call it a client manager, front of house, somebody there. Like, that's key part of what we train. If you employ staff, you employ stylists, etc., because they are your, I mean, they do so much for you. They do take in money. They take in a lot of money. They help increase your, if you get the right person, of course, you need to be trained in the right way. They'll help increase your rebooking. They'll help increase your retail.
They're your point of sale as well.
Absolutely.
They're so important.
Yeah, they're a salesperson. They're the communication to the client. It's just a better, higher standard of service. But trust me, I get it. It took me a long time to, let me give you a tip, Seamus. It took me a long time to realize this, but what happens, and it's the same with the students that I teach, is how I started it and how I got over that little bridge was, rather than taking somebody on full-time, I took on, I dabbled with receptionists and you know, low priced, because I was so scared to kind of invest in that area. And then I thought, no, what I'm going to do is pay someone a higher rate to get someone off a high standard, but offer less hours. So I knew what my budget, I just had my budget, and I got the best person I could paying the highest rate, but for less hours.
Right.
And the standard was just phenomenal. And what should happen is once they start, you go, oh my God, can you work more hours? Because you realize, how did we survive before we had them? They're just, that's how, when you know, so
I would say, you know, they're what we, you know, that front of house, it's like your website, really. It's what people see first, you know, it's telephone, it's, they walk into the salon, they want to be greeted, and that's a skill, you know, and if you want that, you have to have someone trained, skilled and equipped for that job, but it can bring you in so much business if people have got the right greeting and, communication. So I think that's really helpful. So yeah, as I say, I think really important that you said that the course that you're running free of charge at the moment could be a perfect time for people to get into it. Where's the book available, Caroline? Is the book easily available at the moment, or do you buy it?
It's on Amazon.
Right.
So you just go to Amazon. It's on Amazon at the moment. Amazon,
Right.
it was an Amazon bestseller. Woohoo!
Fabulous.
But yeah, it's on Amazon. You just go on there, just search the Salon Jedi, and it'll come up.
Come up, great. I mean,
Easy,
you must be. I mean, you know, your happiness. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but your happiness is obviously evident that you're sharing your message, and it's great, and it's a fantastic business for you. But you must be very, very proud of your own journey from coming from somewhere so low and then, you know, turning it around, you know, in a relatively short space of time, to go from sort of zero to hero. I mean, you know, do you sort of pinch yourself, or do you, that's not part of the philosophy, because you think I've done this through sheer dint of self-belief and hard work? I mean, how do you feel about your own journey now?
A bit of both. I do have pinch me moments. So, you know, in John Assaraf's house, that was a pinch me moment, and being a best-selling Amazon author, that was a pinch me moment.
I bet it was.
International speaker, when we were speaking abroad, that was a pinch me moment. So we do have pinch me moments, but I'm usually just focused on where I'm going. But one thing I would say is something you touched on earlier, is when you talked about belief and, you know, believing in this journey, but really what it comes down to is belief in you and belief in yourself. And believing that, you know, you have to have that belief in yourself to believe, right, okay, if I use this mindset stuff, I believe in myself, I can turn it around. It does come, you know, you have to dig in, and again, you've got to train yourself to believe in yourself, because often many of us have so many fears and doubts, and we see other people, like people might be looking at me thinking, oh, look, she's doing this, she's doing so amazing. It's no, I'm just a normal, average person that has just worked at it, and I've just created the habits. I've just, when I've fallen off, I've got back up again, and it's just, I've fallen off again, I've got back up again, and it's just, I've committed to this journey, this lifestyle, this mindset, to my growth, to growing all the team around me, to helping as many people as I possibly can. I've just committed to it. It's my calling, it's my life, it's my journey.
It's good. And I mean, you say it once you start training your brain, it's a bit like CBT, you know, it's very like that. Training and training the negativity out and the positivity in, it becomes your new habit.
Absolutely.
And that's it. You mentioned the word habit, and that's another key word to this. Habitually thinking gloom and doom will take you down there. Retraining so that thinking positivity becomes a habitual thing. You're there. Once you've got it as your go-to mindset, you've cracked it, haven't you?
Yeah. It's like, so when you start feeling yourself going down, you're like, oh,
come on.
You can just quickly turn right into gratitude, right into my breathing, right in.
Yeah.
I think somebody asked, do I have daily rituals? I do have daily rituals that I do, and
what are they?
They're inside. The reason I call it my magic mind, the 5-day magic mind challenge, there's 5, magic, MAGIC, it's like an acronym. There's 5 that I use every single day, and that's what I teach in there. They're meditation, affirmations, gratitude, inner size, and creation. So I use these 5 things. I share them inside that group if anyone wants to come in and get more information. But every day without fail. There's other things as well that I do, but
these are the key core things.
Key core things for me, and how there's ways of using them, but that's my key, and that's a daily habit and a daily ritual that, like anything, it's like when you're learning a haircut to begin with. It's such a it's so nerve-wracking, and you've got to do it. It's Benson's law. It's the more you do something over and over again, you become a master of it. Practice. It's the same.
And it becomes so ingrained that it's not an actual thought process. It happens naturally as you
it's not an effort.
You just do it because it's part of your ritual.
It's your thermostat. That's where you are.
Well, do you know what? Well, we're way over our hour, and I've just really loved it. And I know that Gareth and Jodie would like me to just mention, obviously, that we're thrilled at Good Salon Guide to have you. Been a member for a very long time, I think. How many years have you been a member?
since a long time, and I would like to thank you guys. You've been a huge part. We've not mentioned that, but you've been a huge part of the journey. That was one of the things that I decided to do very early on when I decided that I was going to, when I decided to turn it around. And then I thought, right, I'm going to model. What are other salons, you know, top salons doing? They've got this 5 stars from the Good Salon Guide, and that was one of the things that I modeled. I was like, right, I want that, you know, tick. So, and you know, I've been with you ever since, and also.
And we're really genuinely honoured and proud for our association with you. And you know, you've helped us a lot. We did some webinars over lockdown, and so, you know, it's been fun talking to you as well, because I've learned a huge amount. It's not an area I'm very well versed in, so I'm glad you were able to talk a lot, because otherwise I'd be interrupting all the time, even more than normal. But it was really good to hear it. And yeah, as I say, I'm fascinated by some of the people you've mentioned. I know some people listening will be familiar, but for those that aren't, and for the links and the books that you recommend, and again, your particular 5-day and your own book, we'll get a little kit together, we'll put it up there, and I'm sure, you know, we're going to get a great response. You know, in a few months' time, when we're further down the road, we can do it all again, because I've loved it. It's been a real privilege.
I'd love to. Thanks for having me, and I hope, you know, your listeners have found value from it, and a bit of hope and inspiration there.
I really hope so, because now's the time. Oh look, that's so lovely. That's so lovely. I love this. You probably get this a lot, and I'm glad. So Tiana O'Neill says to all panelists, well, that's just you and me, thank you so much for your time. It's been really inspiring. That's really lovely, isn't it? When you get someone, get something like that. I'd like to say to her, it's always lovely for us at the Guide, you know, she says, thank you, it's been so motivating. And I'm glad, because, you know, it's not, you know, a big deal for you and me to do this. It's always a pleasure to chat to you. But if people do take stuff out of it, well, it's absolutely brilliant.
That's what it's all about.
And it's given us a taster of what you do. I think Jodie's view was that, you know, if we wrote down an interview with you, the kind of stuff you're talking about here, it's so much better when I can, you know, you can actually get into it and the nitty gritty and tell us.
Yeah.
I think people get a more feel, and you know, you come, I can see how inspired you are by it, because, you know, when you talk about John and your journey, you know, you really come alive. We've had somebody else say, thank you, it's been really inspirational. Thank you, Lynn, for saying that. And it's been really enlightening. And somebody from a Galaxy phone has said, I really needed to hear this tonight. Yeah, well done. I think well done us, Caroline. Let's go and have a big whiskey, a wee drab.
Yeah, that's one of my other daily things I
do. Yeah, well, whatever gets you through. But no, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much. Everything will be up. We'll get the video, the recording of this alongside all the other stuff. And good luck with the book. And first of all, well, thank you, Susie, as well. Thank you for thanking us. Good luck with the British Hairdressing Business Awards and with the big creative ones too. Really wishing you well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for watching and listening. Thanks for inviting me. It's been
our pleasure. It's been our pleasure. All right, Caroline, we'll see you really soon. Thank you. Bye. Bye.